Hello everybody, Big Beardy back again with another video, and today we are talking about the fuel crisis and how fuel is no longer reliable. For those of you who might be watching this in the next weeks or months going forward, today is the day that Russia decided to invade Ukraine. It caused a massive spike in fuel prices globally, a barrel of oil being sold for around $103. That's roughly 72 to 76 pound. My math isn't quite correct at this moment in time, which is the highest it's been in the last 7 years. Now, we've had high fuel prices before. We've been hit by high fuel prices before. But this, it seems and feels a lot different. One, because obviously it's been driven by what could end up being a European war. And it's also on the back of crisis after crisis our country has had to deal with. 6 months ago, a newspaper in the UK decided to report that a few of our fuel stations were unable to get fuel, causing a mass panic buy across the country, and the fact that we could not even get fuel for our vehicles because of this. We did what British people do best, and that is queue and queue and queue for the smallest amount of fuel that we could get. Unfortunately, after this crisis, something else happened which was a bit odd. Our fuel prices stayed ridiculously high, around the 145 to 150 mark is how they have stayed ever since. Now, that's not unusual in itself, but that it usually happens as a spike, not as a constant. And with the news of today of Russia invading Ukraine, causing a spike in fuel globally, it means that the only thing we can perceive that's going to happen going forward is that our fuel prices will rise even further. Now, Russia only actually provides us with about 9% of our global natural gases and 6% of our fuel. That is still a massive chunk of the fuel that comes into our country, and with everything that's going on, it could have massive widespread effects. And this all on the back of Brexit and a global pandemic. Now, I don't think it matters if you are on the left or the right when it comes to politics, but I think we can all stand together and realise that the experiment that is Boris Johnson has failed. He has led us from one crisis to another, from Brexit to COVID, the fuel crisis, and now potentially into a European war. And at a time where we need cool, calm and collected heads, we are left with a bumbling idiot running our country. And yet the experiment continues. And this is having a massive effect at the pump and in the transport industry. Now, the transport industry is the 5th largest industry in the UK. And it will always be there. It's never going to go under, or there's never going to be a transport industry. But it is dark, dark times ahead. Unfortunately, that is all I can see personally. Fuel prices will rise, job prices will not. Work may increase, but with increased fuel prices, profits will still not increase. We will get out of this hole. It's inevitable. At some point, there is always light at the end of the tunnel, but I think that hole we are in is going to get a lot deeper and darker before we get to that point. The fuel crisis has been one of the strangest things in living memory. It's the first time in our history that we can look at fuel as being unreliable. It's the first time that we can actually worry about if we can fill our vans up, not just because of the price, because we may get outpriced out of the market. The average man might not be able to afford what could come in the next weeks and months, but also because there has been a period back in September where we couldn't even put fuel in our van. Fuel has become unreliable. It's a sad fact, and it's one we are going to now, going forward, have to live with. And with a potential European war on our doorstep. Now, a lot of people might end up blaming Russia for the fuel crisis that has already started and is going forward and going to go forward with the potential of hugely risen prices. But before Russia even put troops on the border with Ukraine, we had a fuel crisis. We had troubles at the pumps and then rising fuel prices. All Russia did was add fuel to this fire that was already burning. Now, history won't be kind to Russia. We know this, because as I do not condone anything they are doing, and as they are invading a country for no reason whatsoever and spitting in the face of democracy at the same time, they weren't the ones that started it. It was our government who has led us down a deep and dark path. Fuel has become unreliable because of their actions. So, what's the answer? What can we look forward to? And how do we get ourselves out of this situation? Because we cannot rely on the people in charge to get us out of this situation. The green-fingered renewable energy lot will wave their banners and say, we were right. And this might be the occasion where you have to take the knee and say, yes, you were. We need to start moving towards renewable energies. It's as simple as that. And it's nothing to do with climate change or anything like that. There's no political agenda. This is purely economical. Fuel is unreliable. We cannot rely at the pumps, at prices, and there actually being fuel there anymore. So we have to look at other sources, and the only option is renewable energy. Electric cars, electric vans, and powering our country in a different way. This will mean change, this will mean hardship, this will mean a different way of thinking and doing things. But it's something we will have to do, because eventually the oil and the coal, natural gases will run out. We can't make any more. Well, we can, but we would have to nuke the whole globe and wait a few million years. But instead of that, we need to find better ways of running our country, our power, and our vehicles. That means moving towards electric vans and other means of energy. It's the sad truth that we're in right now. It's not our fault, and it is going to be a long, dark, and hard road ahead, but we will get through it. But unfortunately, this is the situation we find ourselves in. Natural gases are no longer sustainable. We know this, and that's why it's driving fuel prices up and up and up. So it's time we do something different. So for me personally, as soon as I can find a van that actually can do the job I need it to for my job, for the transport business I'm running, I will be doing that, because it's the only real logical way forward. Diesel has had its day. It's time to look at different options. And that's the only way I can viably see it working. Thank you for listening to my little rant. I've been the Big Beardy One. You've been awesome. Be safe out there and have a great day.